Mhm.
All right, so phase 8, we'll talk about buyers and sellers, but I wanted to show you what top producers are actually doing. So every time we do these training sessions, I always show you what top producers do. And then obviously from wherever it is that you are now, all the way to where top producers are. So if you're doing 5 deals a year, 10 deals a year, you want to go to 50 plus. 50 plus is considered top producing. So agents that do 50 plus is what I'm showing you, since phase 1 all the way through. Last week we had a good conversation as well. And, last week we spoke about deciding exactly how you want to do your business. If you're going to purchase leads, you're going to wait for business like a lot of agents do, just sitting around open houses or floor time and stupid activities that people do in order to get some leads. And the majority of agents do that because they have no idea how to get their own leads. And that's what we should, focus on. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. And just make sure. Do you guys see my screen or which screen do you see right now?
You see your screen.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So top producers, what are the, in order for you to become a top producer, we always say your mindset has to be in place and you got to work on yourself before you work on your business. What does that mean? Well, you always need to work on yourself because you are your business, especially at the beginning stages until you start replacing yourself with other people, which is far away from where the majority of people are, especially in these sessions we do, this is part of the mentorship program and the training for new agents. And by the way, Lizette, your sister was not on 2 weeks ago. She was oversleeping. If you want to text her, I can text her as well.
I checked her already.
She doesn't want to lose this. Then she complains about it.
I already texted her.
Okay, good. So no further ado, let's begin. So top producers focus mainly on listing properties. They do work with buyers, but they work with a particular type of a buyer. We'll talk about it right now. Like, you want to make a decision. Should I work with buyers? Should I work with sellers? Am I investing enough time in buyers or sellers? Should I, twist a little bit my business, shift my focus, etc.? That's really the conversation. So you want to focus, you want to do what top producers are doing. When I started in the business and I moved from New York to New Jersey, I didn't know anybody. I started from scratch. So I had to cold call. I did not have a sphere of influence or a database outside of the investors database. But when I made a move from New York to New Jersey, I first wanted to focus on residential and I moved from a commercial division into residential, a lot of different changes. And shifting, but I did have a lot of investors with me, probably over 200 people that I was in touch with that were looking to purchase multifamily 6+ units and whatnot. But I was going after that as well as single families, 2 to 4 families, condos, co-ops, and all that. And I was trying to figure out, okay, what our top producers do in this side of the business, residential. So I went to a Mike Ferry event, which is where I met Mike Ferry for the first time. There was Action Workshop down in Washington, D.C. I'm talking back in 2000. And from that point on, I joined coaching and I never looked back. And what I was doing is I actually recognized that top producers think differently. They do things differently. They're focused on other things than what we normally do. And it's very, very important for all of us to understand, first and foremost, what you should be focused on. And when your mind is focused on the wrong things, we got to shift your mind. That's what coaching is supposed to help you do, to shift your mind and look at what you should be looking at instead of looking at the wrong side. Majority of people deal with emergencies. They're not dealing with what's important. And as long as you're not following a specific schedule that helps you stay on track, you will deviate and you will attend to emergencies before you attend to the most important things on your schedule, A activity, B activity, C, and D, which is stuff we're talking about and we will continue to talk about throughout this system. All right, so top producers focus most of their activities on working with motivated sellers, not with sellers, with motivated sellers. Like even right now, with this crisis, we're talking about April, what's today? April 19, 2020. in the midst of COVID-19, a lot of chaos, a lot of people lost their jobs, all that drama that's happening outside of your mind, and then whatever you're allowing in, without any filter, that's what's going to actually determine what you're focused on. But top producers put a filter on. So putting a filter on what you're allowing in and what you allow out, meaning what you're talking about, needs to be, it has to be addressed. You need to be careful of the things that you are, focused on. So top producers, they focus on working with motivated sellers. What's the difference between a motivated seller and a seller? Well, a seller wants to sell his house for $350, even if the market says the home is worth $275. Motivated sellers wants to sell their home for $270 when the market says $275. It's just a small example. So top producers also only work with buyers that are qualified, motivated, realistic, and ready to buy immediately. So they sift through, they have this mechanism of not just generating leads, but then qualifying leads. And throughout the qualifying process, they make a decision, is it worth my time to attend to this specific buyer? Or should I just refer to someone else and grab a 20, 25% referral? They also work with buyers who sign an exclusive buyer agreement. Otherwise, they don't work with these people. And that's what I was following. I followed the system. I really focused on 80% of my time was focused on sellers, 20% on buyers. And then when I hired my first buyer agent, I was training them to do the same. Now, when I was working with buyers, I always sign up all buyers on exclusive. If they did not want to sign exclusive, the only thing I would do is show them the property, and I'm done. I would not go and show other houses and develop a relationship with. I wouldn't do any of that stuff. If they're not willing to sign exclusive to work with me, I will show the house that they called me on, because that's my responsibility. They called me on my listing. So I did that as the listing agent. I show the house, they don't like it, next. And that's really how I sift through it. And it's the right way to do it if you really want to focus on, listings. So how you should divide your time, how should you invest your time? Top producers invest the majority of their time looking for motivated sellers. So they make phone calls, they prospect, they do door knocking. They actively engage with leads. So for sell by owner leads, for rent by owner leads, geographic farming, door knocking, calling your center of influence, calling your past clients, calling investors, etc. Engaging actively. What does that mean? Prospecting. So top producers prospect the majority of their time looking for motivated sellers. That's really the job. And then they also focus on working with the sphere of influence, to try to have more advocates for their business, to get more referrals. So if you want to grow your referral network, you definitely want to spend time on working on your center of influence and past clients, which is really the database, which is what we spoke about, database. Now, another thing they do is, they spend time and money on building their brand. Where? In a specific community. They want to dominate a certain market. You cannot dominate the whole state. Even in Rhode Island, the smallest states in America, you can't really dominate the whole state. If someone does business in Westerly and you guys are doing deals in Providence, you can't, to study the market, go down to Westerly, come back and forth, showing a property, say you took a listing down there, you can't really master all areas, but you should have a focused area that you're dominating, which is really, it should be your local community where you live, which is the easiest way to do that because, there's no travel time. Another thing is top producers really divide their time, as I said, 80-20. 80% of your time, you should be working with sellers. Now, if you're a brand new agent and you tell me, well, Ron, I don't have any listings, I understand. But you also don't have any buyers unless you start prospecting, or you purchase leads. So last week we spoke about how to get business. 3 ways. Number 1 is buy business. Number 2, wait for it. Number 3, go get it. If you combine number 1 and 3, which is really the way it needs to be done at the beginning stage of your career, if you watch session 7, if you didn't watch last week's video, go back to the YouTube channel and watch it because it's super important. All the stuff we spoke about. So if you are combining number 1 and number 3 from last week's session, that's going to be later on in your career, the beginning stage of your career. The majority of people coming in from a job position, being an employee, getting the real estate license, signing an independent contract, They now become a self-employee. They really don't know how to behave as a self-employee. That's why we did all these intro videos to the system, which you need to watch, you know, video from number 2, 3, 4, all the way to this moment, number 8, where you need to really start. Like right now, we're really starting to work. Like up until now, you're kind of planning your stuff, figuring out what to do. Now it's time to take action. From here going forward, it's going to be all about action. Therefore, it's going to be some homework, and you guys need to be really engaged. So just remember, if you want to make money in real estate in any market, recession, depression, whatever the market is doing has nothing to do with you. You need to find sellers that are motivated. And by the way, in any market, buyer's market or seller's market, you're going to find plenty of sellers leads, plenty of sellers leads. You will never run out of sellers leads. Sometimes in a buyer's market, there's not so many buyers for a particular property. So you really need to learn how to, you know, price right the properties. If the market is downshifting, you need to be ahead of the trend, meaning you need to understand that if you're listing something right now, in 3 months, it might be worth 5% less, as an example. So if you listed a property at, you know, 300,000, 5% is 15 grand, you need to already list it at 285 if you want to be ahead of what's coming. And that's how you're really getting properties off the market and under contract. So in any case, when you are focused on getting listings and working with motivated sellers, it doesn't matter which market you're in. If you keep working on developing skills to list properties, develop skills and focus on listing properties. If you do that and you focus on it, you know, memorize, internalize scripts and dialogues, role play, handwrite your scripts, chant it out loud, record, listen to your recording, do all these things we spoke about. When you start really understanding how to do that on high levels, and you can handle objections on the phone, and you can really book appointments, when you get to that level, you're going to start making money. Why? Because you're going to start booking appointments with motivated sellers, and because they're motivated and you are the one who contacted them first. As we know, 80% of sellers never okay. So 80% of the sellers, you know, they never interview more than one agent. So if you're calling people, 80% of the time, they're not going to interview anyone else unless you mess up this, you know, the process. So we'll teach you how not to mess it up and how to be professional about it. Now, what I like about what's happening right now, which is, you know, in social distancing, what I like a lot about it is that you don't need to leave your house in order to get a listing. You can actually prospect, book listing appointments, do virtual listing presentation, get the listing signed and start working on it. And in many cases, you know, have someone else go there, take pictures. I'm actually going to talk right now, which is a new platforms that I'm trying to put together for Circle100, where we're going to have a professional photography, people who go out there, take videos, you know, do virtual tours and all that stuff. Working right now on negotiating some prices with a local guy. Tomorrow I have a conversation with him, and we'll know more about it in our next office meeting. I will introduce and talk about it. So you don't even need to leave your house. You can literally prospect from your home, you know, call for sale by owners, expired listings, just listed, just sold, sphere of influence, past clients, etc. When they're ready to list their property, you do the pre-qualifying segment of the script, and you jump right into booking the appointment. You email them the listing presentation with all the paperwork, just the pre-listing package via email. And then you're doing a Zoom session like I'm doing with you right now. I'm sharing the screen with you. You can do the same stuff and do a PowerPoint presentation, doing your presentation like this, which works beautifully. And you can literally sit at home, prospect, do listing presentations every single day and take a listing. And that's where we're heading. So you got to start really building skills in order for you to be able to do that. You've got to focus on working with sellers, because if you're going to spend a lot of time with buyers, trust me, they're not going to leave a lot of room on your schedule to go out there and do what it takes to become a top producer. So the problem is when people focus on working with buyers mainly, and then they don't even sign a buyer exclusive, they just work with any buyer lead that comes their way. They spend a lot of hours, a lot of time with buyers, you know, shopping around before they purchase something. And that takes away all the time from your schedule, meaning you're not going to be able to practice scripts and dialogues. You're not going to be able to role play. You're not going to be able to do the things that it takes in order for you to really build the skills. You need to understand what it takes for you to become a top producer is building skills. That's what it takes. And there's really almost nothing else that you need to do. If you build skills and you become skillful in the art of conversing over the phone with FISBOs, expires, just listed, just sold, first center of influence, past clients, when you know what to say over the phone, you know how to handle objections and how to book appointments, you're like 80% done. So that's what you should be focused on. Now, listing properties to sell. When you focus on getting listings, you will automatically have buyers contacting you. So you put a for sale sign outside with your face, with your phone number. Buyers are going to call you. Buyers are going to reach out from Zillow, from Realtor.com, from MLS. All of that, once you put a listing in MLS, it's already been feeding information to all the other websites. You're going to get a lot of buyer agents calling you, wanting to show your listing, but you're also going to get a lot of buyers that actually drove by or saw your advertisements online somewhere, or maybe they came to you from a referral from one of your past clients, and they call you and they want to, check out the property. So you need to focus on getting listings, and that's going to bring you a lot of buyers leads. So I see some people say, Ron, should I sign up for Zillow? You know who signs up for Zillow? Agents that don't have leads. You know who are the agents who don't have leads? Agents that don't have listings. And that's how it works. If you don't have listings, you don't have buyers. Then you need to purchase buyers leads. Then you're purchasing buyers leads and you're working for the listing agents. So the employer, if we can call it that way, is the listing agent. And the buyer's agents are the employees. That's why we have a lot of people coming in from a job, coming into real estate, and they start working with buyers because it's very similar to being an employee. Oh, I got a lead from my broker. I bought a lead, or someone gave me a buyer's lead. I take them out. I service the lead, and I do a deal. But that's not going to make you a top producer. So if you're focusing on becoming a top producer and you want to make at least $250,000 a year in income, or you just want to make six figures, if you want to make six figures in real estate, you should be focused on getting listings. For every listing you get, you will naturally get multiple buyers leads. So when you get a listing, you're going to get a lot of buyers leads. On average, you should be getting between, on every listing, sellable listing, you should get at least 25, 30 buyers leads per listing. All right. Now, when you have great sellable listings that are really priced correctly, meaning that you really know what you're doing, you are in full control because the buyers are going to just line up outside the door to work with you. And your next listing will sell as quickly as this listing. When you price listing correctly, you sell them quickly. I had an issue with the seller. I remember a day when a seller called me, and I priced the listing very well, and that's one of the things I did best, because I would walk away from a listing presentation if the seller is not willing to list for the price that I'm suggesting. I normally would walk away from the listing. So the sellers that do list with me ended up selling in the first 30 days. I almost got no listings unless it was like a buyer's market and there was an issue with the property, maybe some physical issue that popped up in inspection or stuff like that delayed the process. I would sell all my listings in 30 days because I priced them correctly. And that's why we spoke about, and we'll continue to talk about, how you become a market expert by really doing a lot of previews. When you're a brand new agent, you should really focus every day to go out and take a look at 2-3 listings. Now, with what's happening right now, maybe you cannot do that, so you should spend a lot more time on MLS and really figuring out what's going on. But you can still do, if there are agents who, and as they start opening up, more opportunities for us to begin again to do some open house, you would be able to start doing your previews. But anyways, let's go to the next conclusion. So to become a top producer, you have to focus the majority of your time on developing skills to master the listing properties, to master listing properties at the right price. What does that mean? It means that you really need to understand the value of properties. You can't go out there and guessing the price. When you talk to a seller, you need to be firm on what it is that you believe that the property is worth. Now, if you haven't previewed enough properties, and you're in a position where you really don't know, you're kind of guessing the price, and the seller is going to be firm on, pricing it at 325, and you think that it's worth 279, you might end up taking the listing for 325 because you don't really have a solid idea about what the property value is. And what's going to happen next is you're going to list the property. After 60, 90 days, the seller is going to get pissed off because you're not getting any showings because it's way overpriced. And the seller is not going to, agree to reduce the price. Look, the majority of sellers, when you are doing listing presentation, the majority of sellers that are motivated, but they're kind of non-negotiable on the price. If the price makes no sense, guys and girls, don't take the listing. Let it go and go on your next listing presentation. What's the reason that the majority of agents don't do that? Is the main reason is agents don't walk away from a listing presentation if it's overpriced, is because they just want to get a listing. They have no listings whatsoever, and they think that if they get that listing, they could get some buyer's leads, but you're not going to get any buyer's leads. The house is overpriced. You're just going to look like an idiot that doesn't know what the hell they're doing, and the seller's going to get pissed off. You're not going to get the listing again, so the listing is going to expire. Now you have on your history, if someone check out your history on MLS, they're going to see that you had 3 expired listings, and guess what's going to happen next? So you really want to focus on all that stuff I'm talking about. Really understand the market, know how to price these properties. And it's really the mastery of skills that will get you the listings. You need to know what to say. If you really understand what to say when you first contact someone, and then how to pre-qualify that lead, and then how to jump into the listing presentation and handle objections, you do that, automatically, because you memorize and internalize all these scripts and dialogues, then you will get some listing presentations. And if you understand the market, you will price them correctly and you will get them sold in 30 days. But what is the real, what's the basic? What is the foundation of success as a listing agent? What's the real foundation? Like if people ask me, hey, Ron, tell me what's the secret? The secret is that you really need to invest time in memorizing, internalizing scripts and dialogues, so you know what to say, you know how to handle every single question they have, and how to handle all their objections. If you know how to do that, you can take listings. And you don't need to be genius to do that. You just need to practice scripts and dialogues. So if you are engaged every day in chanting out loud scripts and dialogues, handwriting them, recording yourself chanting out loud, listening to the recording, and then role play with different role play partners. If you role play with the same person every day, trust me, you're not going to develop any skills. But if you role play with different partners, on Monday you role play with James, and on Tuesday you role play with Michael, and on Wednesday with Mary, and on Thursday with Jean, and on Friday with Lisette. If you do that, every week, you will start really developing skills, because each one of them is going to have a different personality style, is going to have a different, objections. And you need to take seriously role-playing. Role-playing is by far the best, should be the #1 activity on your educational platform where you are engaged in role-playing. Maybe it's boring, maybe you don't feel comfortable, but if you're not feeling comfortable role-playing, trust me, you're not going to feel comfortable when you talk to a real seller. You will not. And you're going to mess up the call, and they're not going to meet with you. And you're going to do, if I look at all your numbers, if you're going to send me and tell me, hey, Ron, I made 30 contacts today, 0 leads, and then 28 contacts, 0 leads, and 32 contacts, 0 leads, and 0 leads, and 0 leads, or I see 1 lead out of 30 calls, and then you're not getting any appointments. So every day I see 2 leads, 1 lead, 2 leads, 1 lead, 2 leads, 1 lead, but then I don't see appointments and contracts. That means that you still don't have the basic foundation. And it also means that you're not role-playing. Because if you are role-playing, if anyone would role-play every day for 30 minutes with a different partner and chant out loud scripts and dialogues, handwrite them, really practice the language, get used to the conversation and the objections, then you will get, in 30 days, you will start getting appointments. And in 30 more days, you will start taking listings. And in 90 days, you're out there, you're doing it. And if you're doing that for 18 months, you are at 6 figures income, and you never go below 6 figures. That's the system we teach. That's what we believe in, because that's what I did, and that's what I followed. If I got 80 listings a year, it's just because of what I just told you. I took it seriously, but I did fight it for the first year. My first year in coaching was a struggle, because I had my ego, and I didn't want to let go of old habits, and I did not feel comfortable role playing, and it was kind of boring, and I just wanted to go out there and make money, and I was like, just I didn't want to do it. And I'm fighting with my agents, on all my coaching clients. I need to literally fight about this because people don't take it seriously. And the ones that do are the ones that make all the money. All right, so now you want to do the conclusions of this session. You really want to, if you really want to become a top producer, you got to really focus on developing these skills, okay? And you need to really invest time and money to develop these skills. So how do you do that? Well, coming up, there is a Mike Fair, and I'm going to actually share on Tuesday at 6:30 a.m. at the coaching call. I will share with you what's coming up. Mike Ferry is doing something that I think is a must. And I believe it's coming up on April 29 and 30th. And if you guys are serious about your careers and you're not registered for that, then you're really not serious about your careers. We'll talk about it, and I'll release this information on Tuesday morning. And that's going to really bring your skills to the next level. Like, you really want to do that. All right. So next, only work with buyers that are qualified, pre-approved, motivated, realistic, and sign exclusive. Let me say it again. Only work with buyers, purchases that are qualified. What's a qualified customer? There are many different variations of a qualified customer. They need to be pre-approved for a mortgage, or they need to show you some bank statements to show that if they're purchasing cash, you need to know where the cash is coming from. They need to be motivated. So, they really need to have a reason to move. Like, why are you moving? Well, if we find something we like, we might buy it. That's not a motivated buyer. Motivated buyer is someone who tells me, listen, I have a contract on my house. I need to close in 30 days. I got to find something. That's a motivated buyer. Another motivated buyer could be someone who's moving out of town, and he already did a job transfer. He's living in a temporary rental, and he needs to find a property to purchase immediately. Someone who's doing a 1031 exchange, if you do commercial. So there's a lot of different ways to really make sure that someone's motivated. Qualified is based on what you believe that, buyers you should work with. For example, if I ask somebody, how many homes have you seen already? And they tell me, oh, in the last year and a half, me and my wife have seen maybe 38 and 40 houses. Trust me, I'm out. That's not a motivated buyer. So you want to make sure that they're pre-approved. You want to make sure that they're qualified. You want to make sure they're motivated. You want to make sure they're realistic. What's a realistic buyer? If someone calls you and says, I would like to purchase this house that you listed for 300, I want to buy it for 225. Unrealistic. It's not going to happen. Property value is 300. Why would anybody sell you a house that's worth 3 at 225? Makes no sense. So you need to work with buyers that are realistic, that understand what their price range is going to give them. If they have a 225 price range and they're pre-approved for up to 225, and you start looking at houses that they send you that are kind of, a lot more expensive, or, they're just living in La La Land. They're not really, they're not here. Drop the buyer or refer them to someone else. And then if they qualify, pre-approved, motivated, and realistic, I will then meet with them. When I meet with these buyers, I sign them on a buyer exclusive agreement, meaning that they are signing an agreement with me that if they purchase a house, they purchase the house with me. Even if they drive by a for sale by owner, or they drove by an open house by a different real estate agent, and they walked into the house, they need to tell the broker over there, or the agent, that they are represented already by an agent because they sign exclusive. Now, if I sign a buyer exclusive agreement with every buyer I work with, and I take the exclusive for at least 90 days, I have 90-day window to do what it takes to work the buyer and get him to purchase something. I'm not going to sign him on a 2-year exclusive agreement, because if they tell me, oh, if we find something we like in the next 2 years, we'll buy, I'm not interested in working with them, because that's a waste of time. I'm looking for people that are qualified, pre-approved, motivated, realistic. So if they pass this test of qualified, pre-approved, motivated, realistic, I will then sit with them and sign exclusive. Now, you don't need to sit with anyone right now. You're just doing a virtual meeting on a conference like we're doing right now. You use Zoom, you use Skype, whatever else you wish to use, Google Hangout, whatever. And you have them sign with e-signature the exclusive buyer agreement. If they made the choice to work with you on an exclusive agreement, Then you have money in the bank as long as you do what is necessary. Okay, so, and that's, you know, for later videos when we are talking about how to work with buyers, how to sign exclusive, that's for different video. I just want you guys to understand, 80% of your time should be focused on sellers. Never show properties to a buyer unless the buyer is pre-qualified, listing, motivated, ready to place an offer. That means motivated, ready to place an offer. And bringing to the showing all parties involved in the decision. So these are things that I do when I meet with them, when I explain my exclusive agreement. These are the kind of things they need to make a commitment to, and to agree. These are my expectations. So if they have everything that it takes, and then I just need to go out there and actually find them a house, in many situations, if the house doesn't exist on MLS, which could happen, in my door knocking or prospecting process, I will come across a lot of people that would tell me, well, if you could get me 225, I would sell. And then I call this buyer and I go show them the house and I make a deal with 6% commission. So I take the listing and I have the buyer deal. A buyer specialist career. If you decide to develop a career as a buyer specialist at the beginning of your career, it might be a good idea. I don't recommend it to everyone, but to some people, especially if you're not a driver and your D on the DISC test is very low. If you come on board with Circle, we give you a DISC test. We know exactly where your D is. If the D is very low, in many cases, it's best for you to just focus on working with buyers, but then you got to do that in a very particular way. And if you do that for 5 years, you will start getting back some of these buyers who purchased, want to sell and upgrade or downgrade or whatever the story is, they will call you and then you can list their property. But at the beginning, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you can just focus on working as a buyer agent on a team where the team is giving you administrative support and leads. You go out there, you service the team's leads. It's not your leads, it's someone else's leads. You're just working out those leads and you get paid. Normally 40, 50% of the commission goes to you. Professional and devoted buyer specialists can make 6 figures. A buyer specialist must master the skills of signing a buyer exclusive agreement with a buyer. A buyer agent is not someone who just goes out to meet with buyers and just show homes. That's a showing agent. And showing agents, in my opinion, should not get paid more than $500 if they do the deal, because all they do is just showing. But if I bring in a buyer specialist on a team and I teach them how to do the buyer consultation session and they understand how to sign exclusive with the buyer, that person who knows, who has the skills, who gained the skills in order to do that is worth 50% of the commission. And in some cases, if they do more, for example, in my team, if a buyer agent did more than 2 deals in a month, the 3rd deal, they will get a higher split. And each team works in different ways, but the majority of teams will give you half of the commission. And then you don't have to work on a team. You can just purchase some buyers leads or do some prospecting and come across some buyers leads and then take those buyers out and work with them. A buyer specialist must master the skills, and then they also need to understand all the scripts inside out, handling objections. What if the buyer tells you, I don't want to sign exclusive? How do you handle that? All that stuff we cover in buyer presentation. All right, summarizing. At the beginning of stage of your career, you want to spend 50% of your time working with buyers. As you grow your listing business, reduce the time spent with buyers. That's really the recommendation that I can give you. But it's not necessarily so, because if you are doing the homework and you really develop the skills and you know, you memorize, internalize, and you speak clearly over the phone where people understand you, and you can really develop a conversation with people, going through the scripts that were given you smoothly and handling objections, you will have meetings with sellers, you will have listing appointments, and you could get listings right from the beginning. You just need to understand a couple of things. Number one, you need to know how to, converse. Number two, you really need to understand the market. So when you make a recommendation on a price, it's the right recommendation. And now, when you join us at the beginning stage of your career, when you're under mentorship, when you do your first 4 deals in mentorship, the mentor will guide you and help you figure out the price for your listing presentation. So if you are in the situation and you're meeting with a seller and you have a presentation, you have to contact your mentor. let them know what's going on, let them know where the property is located, have the mentor, sit with you on MLS and show you, and you, together you will figure out the price. And if the mentor doesn't know, or you feel that the mentor is, giving you a price that you're still kind of questioning it, reach out to the broker, reach out to me, we'll help you finalize it. All right. But remember, at the beginning of your career, you got to really focus. I think that everyone should focus on getting listings. That's the game. Our business should not be working with buyers. Our business should be go out there, get the inventory, put it on MLS, and then the house would sell itself when you price them correctly. And that's money in the bank. When I list a property, if I go right now a listing presentation and I take a listing for 300,000 and I know that the market is like between 300 and 310, 315, and I took the listing right now for 300, I know that by the end of next week, I should have a contract already. And that's how it works. If you're good at it, getting those listings, you will be very successful. So for a successful career, you must know the minimum numbers of exclusive listings you really must have every single month. For example, if you want to sell 25 homes a year, and you know that about 70% of those deals are going to come in from listings, then you need to have about 18 listings. And for 18 listings, how many per month? About 2 per month. So to get 2 listings per month, how many listing presentations should you do? Well, if you're getting 1 out of 5, then you should, times 5 is about 10 listing presentations. If you get, 2 out of 5, the numbers are different. If you get 3 out of 5, the numbers are different. What's the difference between 1 out of 5 and 3 out of 5? Practicing and role-playing your listing presentation and handling objections. Because the more you do that, the better you get at the listing presentation, the more listings you get. You also need to know the minimum number of buyer exclusive you need. So if I need to do 7 deals, buyer deals, then I should probably take around 10, 12 buyer exclusives this year, which means about 1 buyer exclusive every month. And you can bank on it. You can bank on an exclusive agreement. You cannot bank on an open listing, meaning if you call the FISBO told you, hey, just bring in your buyers. You have buyers, just bring them over. And you say, okay, if I have someone, I'll bring them over. And then you call them and you say, well, a friend of mine want to purchase because you have a buyer. You got a buyer lead, you're calling a FISBO, and you go show that property. You're working on an open listing. I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever. It's a complete waste of time because your commission is not secured. You have no idea what's going on. I prefer to show an MLS listing where I know that I'm getting 2% or 2.5% or 3% of the deal that's secured in an agreement versus working with a FISBO who can tomorrow morning tell me, well, I found someone else who pays me more, or, I'm not willing to pay you 2%, I can pay you 1%, and things to that nature. Agreements equals money in the bank. You need to learn how to convert a lead into an appointment and an appointment into an agreement. That's the job. That's what we're doing. I really don't understand why I see so many real estate agents focused on, spending a lot of time with buyers and, dealing too much in things that are not going to make them any money. Trying to find buyers leads online, purchasing buyers leads, spending money to do that. At the end of the day, if you're going to take a buyer without a buyer exclusive agreement and you're going to show homes, you can show them 10, 15 homes. They're not purchasing anything. And then the wife drove by an open house over the weekend with a FISBO. She liked it. She spoke to the seller. The seller liked her. She liked the seller. They started negotiating. Boom, they got a deal. You're not getting paid. Or your buyer call, if you don't have exclusive, I'm talking about. If you don't have exclusive and your buyer drove by an open house, walked in, liked the listing, spoke to a listing agent, put on the spot an offer, you're not getting paid. So you can spend time working with the buyer, showing, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 homes. And then they drive by an open house and they purchase that house without you. They don't owe you anything if you don't have an exclusive agreement. Therefore, you spend 6 months with one buyer who's not purchasing anything. That's why I'm telling you that, in my opinion, the way that agents who join our industry should really focus on and should practice and should educate themselves is with the system. What's the system? Learn what to say, know how to convert. First of all, you need to learn what to say to generate leads. Then we give you some activities for prospecting. You're going to call for sell by owners. If you're going to master for sell by owner script, like really mastering it, understanding how to take that conversation into a listing appointment, and you do that well, and then you can call 10 FISBOs and get yourself 2-3 listing appointments, then I would say every 2 days you should get a listing appointment. And if you're at that level and you're turning, say, getting 2-3 listings out of 5 listing appointments, you can get 4 or 5 listings a month. And when you get 4 or 5 listings a month, you're doing about 50 transactions a year, and then you're a top producer. All right. So any questions in relation to all that stuff? What do you guys have to say about it? Do you have any questions whatsoever? What do you understand? What is the most important thing for you to really realize, like right now? What does it take to become a successful top producer?
Focus on listings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 1, focus on listings. What else?
Build your
Practice
skills.
on script.
Yeah.
Build your skills and
Yeah.
Time
that-
management.
what?
Time management.
Why time management?
Practicing the script.
Because you don't want to waste your time on buyers that's not I'm not sure the right word, people that's not ready to buy.
Okay, so you're talking pre-qualifying.
Pre-qualifying,
Yeah,
people that's not ready to
pre-qualifying
sell.
is definitely process. Yes, but it has nothing to do, like time management, yes, but not really. It's just like pre-qualifying leads. Don't work with leads that are not qualified. Correct. Yes. Lilian, you said something?
No, I said it earlier to focus on the scripts to practice them and learn them.
Exactly. So the first point about this session, the first point, if you guys really want to become successful, when you're looking at Kyle Saboth and all these guys that are, getting a lot of listings, doing 300-400 transactions a year, I promise you, what they do better than other agents is handling objections, spending time on the phone, booking appointments. They have the skills down so well that if they call a FISBO, I would say, here's the difference between an agent who does gets 300 listings a year and someone who gets 5 listings a year. Here's the difference. The one who gets 300 will call 10 FISBOs and get 8 appointments. And the other person will call 10 FISBOs and get 1 appointment. And even that appointment is not really going to be a qualified appointment. So maybe every 50 FISBOs, he will get 1 listing appointment. Why would someone call 50 for sale by owner to get 1 qualified appointment? Someone else calls 10 and gets 8 appointments. What's the difference between them? And the difference is skills. Communication skills. And you don't need to be years in the business to accumulate the same experience. If someone had to make 5,000 phone calls in order to, become a master of for sale by owner, all you got to do is 5,000 times of role play sessions with a role play partner. You don't even need to call for sale by owners. You can find a role play partner for each day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, every day you do with a different person. So you do 5-6 times a week role playing. By the end of the week, you already accumulated a bunch of knowledge. By the end of the second week, you're better. And the third week, you're much better than that. 4th week, 5th week, and you go and you continue to do that for 6 months. And you're not calling FISBOs. You're just calling role play partners. After 6 months, I had an agent in my prior company that was sitting in my class for 7 months. The guy didn't do nothing. 7 months. He was showing up every morning, role playing, chanting out loud, handwriting the scripts and dialogues, just chanting out. Because when he was in this session with me, like what we're doing right now, and he listened to me. And he said, well, I want to be like Ron. Ron was doing between 80 and 100 transactions a year. I want to do more than that. So let me just go to his level first. What did he do? So he studied all the scripts and dialogues for 7 months. And he went previewing. So his schedule was like, I'm not saying that you should do that, because maybe some of you need to make money way sooner than that. But he was okay. He lived with his parents. He was a college graduate. He was 21, 22 years old. And he would just show up at the office, handwrite his scripts. And then the first agent who walks in, he will role play with him. And then the second agent who walks in the office, he will role play with the other person. He would role play with 5, 6, 7 different agents every single day. He will call his friends and role play with them, call his mother and role play with her, call his brother and role play with. He would just engage in the same conversation for 7 months. After 7 months, he started working. His first month, he was getting, I don't even know, like 10, 12 listings in the first month. He would book appointments like a machine. As a matter of fact, after 6 months of doing that, he was already closing his 50 transactions, and he started rolling the role play partnership that we did every single day. He was the one who ran the classes and teaching everybody else how to role play. Role play is the #1 thing on your schedule. And I promise you, I don't care how many listings you take and how many listings you have. If you're not role playing, you don't have the language down, you're not gonna be able to get any appointments. And if you get appointments, it's not gonna really be a listing appointment, it's just gonna be like a showing. You know, when you call a FISBO and say, hey, do you mind if I preview your home? I might have some buyers for you, blah, blah, blah. And then you book a showing and you go there. Guys, use the Mike Ferry scripts. If you wanna get listing appointments, use the Mike Ferry scripts. I send them to you. If you didn't get them, you can go to mikeferry.com. They have free resources. Download all these scripts. They have scripts in English and scripts in Spanish. So these are all the points. Okay, this session is recorded. I'm going to upload this to the YouTube channel. You can watch again. If you didn't watch session 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go back to the YouTube channel and watch it. And that's it. We'll do coaching session on Tuesday at 6:30 a.m. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, ran@circle100.com.
Take care, Ron. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.